NYDIG is giving access to some 300 million checking accounts to Bitcoin via an integration with Fidelity Information Services. So this is actually pretty huge news. The fact that 300 million checking accounts in the U.S. are going to be able to access Bitcoin once this integration rolls through. So on the backside, what it looks like is whatever bank subscribes to Fidelity Information Services has the ability now to use Bitcoin and buy Bitcoin, procure Bitcoin from NYDIG. NYDIG would be the holder of that Bitcoin and would custody it for users. But then the banks themselves would get the transaction fees and everything associated with the purchases of that Bitcoin. So it's a huge step in the adoption game of Bitcoin, especially as an investment. The fact that all these accounts across the world, across the US, can now access Bitcoin instead of having to create an account on Coinbase, to create an account with Cash App or some other typical way of buying Bitcoin. You can do it directly through your own bank account now. So I think that's some of the biggest news of the year, frankly. And the fact that NYDIG has done it again is really interesting, because a year ago, I didn't know their name. And I think 6 months ago, they started making some loud noises with Mass Mutual and Morgan Stanley, some other players that they started servicing. And now here they are servicing every single or a large clientele of U.S. banks in the U.S., So I want to throw this right over to you, Zach. NYDIG does it again.
Yeah, NYDIG, man, they really came out of stealth like with a vengeance. This is big. I mean, I think we've talked about this in various forms, but the ability for these assets to interact with your existing financial services is going to be really quite powerful, I think. Whether that's a Bitcoin balance in your bank account, whether that's down the road sort of access to decentralized finance protocols that can give you yield, but again, through the interface of your trusted bank account. Really interesting to think about how this could play out down the road. And if this is one step of many toward that, really quite interesting. I mean, obviously, 300 million is like, the entirety of the pie, and only a small slice of that pie may take them up on this offer. So that number may be a bit like aspirational, but certainly the reach of this program and this partnership could be quite interesting in terms of making digital assets a part of more people's sort of daily financial lives.
And it's also interesting to see what other products are on the horizon. So apparently NYDIG plans on other services, including perhaps a debit card rewards program, and that would be paid in Bitcoin, and a new type of bank account that's FDIC insured. So these are very novel financial tools they're dealing with there. And as we know, the FDIC has not wanted any involvement with crypto before. They've shut down bank accounts involved with cryptocurrency businesses. So the fact that now NYDIG is saying, actually, we're going to have FDIC insured bank accounts for cryptocurrency for Bitcoin is very interesting.
Yeah, I think this is just a really important step, because you're just meeting people where they are. Like, that's huge, right? It's all been through external apps thus far and stuff like that. And so if this is coming directly to you, and I noticed in the reporting too, they specifically mentioned like one small kind of 7-branch bank in California. And that's really important to me, because that's going to put it with a whole new audience potentially who wouldn't, maybe be considering this otherwise in a really local way. So that's really huge to be meeting people where they are. But Jen, I'll toss back up to you.
Well, you always say what I'm going to say. I mean, I think this is great. We talk about trust so much in the crypto space that this just feels like what's needed to get the mainstream audience involved in crypto. It's right there in your bank account. People trust their banks. There's this like embedded relationship already. Those technological aspects that we talk about, those barriers aren't there. So this is really great. I wish that this could happen in Canada. There's so many banks here in Canada that still restrict you from
three this week. That's 3 Canada lines.
Every single day. I'm so sorry. But yeah, the banks in Canada are behind when it comes to thinking like this. So it's a great story.
Can I say something quick before we change track there? Because I just think it's important. Like, the president of NYDIG, although this is really cool for other reasons, they do seem to be spinning it in a very advantageous way to them that I think is quite deceptive. Because like the president says, most people can't invest in things that institutional investors get invested in. But now with Bitcoin in your bank account, you can purchase it. Anyone can, do it. It's an attractive asset available to everyone. That's huge economic empowerment. It's like, well, no, Bitcoin was economic empowerment and anyone could buy it. Like, this this is not something that was closed off to the masses. And by adding it to your bank account, you are not giving people extra exposure. I just wanted to mention that little rant because I think it was a little bit untruthful the way they said that.